Well, good afternoon, everybody, and a sincere thank you for joining us today for our webinar. I'm going to begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land in which all of us meet, the varied lands in which we meet today, and pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. And I extend my respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people joining us here today. My name is Joshua Rayner, and I'm the Executive Director of Jobs Queensland. This webinar has been designed to introduce participants to workforce planning, essentially the fundamentals of workforce planning. I'll do a bit of a check-in periodically throughout the session, but I would sincerely encourage you, if you did have any questions, to please put them into the chat, and I'll make every attempt to be able to answer them at the end of the session. Jobs Queensland is pleased to have partnered with the Business Chamber of Queensland in developing a simple and practical tool and the resources that will enable all businesses, regardless of size, to step through the key stages involved in workforce planning. Regardless of the size of businesses, essentially these tools and resources are a bit of a 101 or a guide to starting workforce planning for many. As most of you would be acutely aware, the Queensland workforce is evolving. External changes such as consumer demand for varying products, workforce capability, new technologies, government policy, climate change, and sustainable management across supply chains are just a few of the challenges and opportunities facing Queensland businesses. These external changes may mean growth, or in some cases decline in markets, in your customer base, and an increase potential in competition. These changes can have an impact on your workforce needs too, and will need to be considered part of any planning process. Many businesses use workforce planning to help them think ahead and manage change based on labour market conditions. Our future labour market, as rapidly changing as it is, I think can be fairly summarised that those changes will be of rapid change. We're seeing global headwinds, increased preparedness of a greater number in the population to work, and a greater prioritisation of productivity. Today, I look forward to stepping you through Jobs Queensland workforce planning tools and resources. For those of you unfamiliar with Jobs Queensland is a state statutory entity that is there to provide independent, industry-relevant advice to governments on all things skills and workforce development. So anticipating the future skills of employers to workforce planning and development, and in particular around the apprenticeship and traineeship system in Queensland. By the end of the session, you'll have a better understanding of the importance of workforce planning and what resources are available for you to use, so you can begin the workforce journey and be better equipped to support developing your own workforce plan. This afternoon, we'll be providing you with some of the toolkit resources available, and this will enable you to consider current workforce challenges, potential solutions, and work on how a workforce plan is developed. At the end of today's session, we'll be providing each of you a copy of the toolkit for small to medium enterprises and the workbook for micro small businesses. Before we begin, I think it's important for us to have an understanding of why workforce planning is important, and I'd like to share with you a short video.
To have the workforce plans and the workforce development plans already thought through was gold, really, just to have that in place and to be therefore able to make quick decisions about how we grew our workforce and where. Newman Contractors is the company that I'm responsible for. And Newman Contractors is part of the Newman Group based on the Gold Coast. As with most business entities throughout Australia during the virus issues, we needed to focus on our workforce strategies.
Workforce planning and development was to both survive and thrive. In March last year, we had approximately 74 employees, and we currently have approximately 116. They realised the benefits of the workforce planning and that it was going to make their life a lot easier in the long run.
We had to spend the time to concentrate on the strategic planning and thoroughly understand where we needed to be.
There's been an increase in efficiencies, productivity and profitability. We're looking at continuous improvement.
2021 through to now, our business turnover for the Newman Contractors Group will nearly have doubled. So if you stand back from your business and identify the workforce gaps that you have, there's only benefit in a proactive approach.
So against a backdrop of skill shortages and the COVID-19 recovery, Newman Contractors, as part of the Newman Group, decided to take a proactive approach to workforce planning. With their plans in place, the Gold Coast-based manufacturing business began to thrive with workforce and business growth. So who's workforce planning helpful for? Well, all of the resources we're going to go through today are available free on the Workforce Planning Connect website. And while they are developed with micro, small and medium-sized enterprises front of mind, they are designed to meet the needs of any business, regardless of size. We appreciate that many businesses are unfamiliar with workforce planning and are likely to be time poor. So the processes detailed in the tools and resources are designed to help those business who have a need, sometimes a very urgent need or immediate need, to respond to changes in their workforce. This could be key staff resigning, winning a significant contract, or introducing new technology. It can also be very helpful for businesses who want to explore opportunities for growth and expansion, and also those who are ready and willing to look at the future of their business. So why is workforce planning important? Well, a good workforce plan provides a solid understanding of the current workforce needs and how to prepare your workforce for the future. When done effectively, it can deliver many benefits and positive outcomes. Small to medium enterprises often say they're time poor, so they are very busy working in their business, but don't necessarily pause and take stock to work on their business. So some of the benefits of workforce planning, so you can better understand the benefits and appreciate the value in dedicating some time to planning, essentially fall into three categories: financial, business, and workforce. And collectively, those benefits, as you can see, are listed on screen. Respond quickly to change, linked to financial and business planning, improvements in productivity, in identifying and mitigating risks, planning for future workforce needs, retention strategies, employee satisfaction, your workforce skills, plan for a new and emerging skills needs, and knowing the skills within your existing workforce. You may wish to consider whether this is a full scope of the benefits. Are there any that you disagree with, or which benefits perhaps resonate with you in your situation currently? Ultimately, these benefits in turn will likely reduce employee turnover and skill shortages in particular areas. Identify training and development needs of the workforce as workforce requirements change. Could also result in your ability to attract staff to key roles and also retain them in key positions. It's also likely to reduce employee turnover and therefore recruitment expenses. Before we explore workforce planning and connect resources, it's important to understand workforce planning itself and how it can be of benefit to business. To underpin business success, the key elements of workforce planning are about getting the right people in the right skills, in the right role, at the right time. A good workforce plan will enable a business to gain a solid understanding of their current workforce and explore what their future workforce needs might be, all in order for them to achieve their goals. People are at the core of every business, and workforce of the business is a key contributor to the success of that business. For many businesses, the skills, capabilities, and experiences of their employees, along with the engagement and commitment of those employees, can be the critical element of success for their competitive advantage or value proposition. It's also important to recognise there are different levels of workforce planning that can be considered within a business. One is operationally focused. This can be because you have received a resignation and need to consider what you're going to do in response to that. Extend existing staff hours, recruit, or decide not to fill it at all. Another is tactical. It's looking at what is planned for their business over the next 12 to 24 months and consider how their workforce will support those achievements, the achievements of those business goals. And finally, strategic. This is having a view in 3+ years of the business and what it is that the workforce will need to position themselves well for the future. While Workforce Planning Connect has been primarily developed to consider the tactical and strategic elements of a workforce, you may also find this useful for considering the operational requirements as well. So what does workforce planning involve? The message I want to convey is that workforce planning can be successful without being too complicated. And what we have done is break down the process in 4 key steps that underpin any workforce planning process, no matter how simple or, again, how complex a business may be. These 4 steps are getting started, gathering information, identifying issues and potentially finding solutions, and then finally develop, implement, and monitor. We'll now share with you in the chat a toolkit resource. It's fact sheet number 1, Workforce Planning, a Summary Guide. Essentially, this is your 101 to understanding the role and importance of workforce planning, but in particular, how to get started and critically, the key stages of workforce planning. The summary guide provides a little bit more in-depth explanation of the purpose of each stage and what it entails. This is also available for download on the Workforce Planning Connect website and is a useful resource when talking to businesses about workforce planning. Workforce planning is cyclical. It's about planning for people and the ones who will help businesses to deliver products and services to their customers. Similarly to business planning, it's a continuous process of understanding the current workforce skills. That's where are they now? The desired skills for the future workforce, where are they going? And the workforce gaps and development strategies and actions to close those gaps, how they'll get there. Workforce Planning Connect steps businesses through the process, and we'll go through each section briefly today as an overview. The cycle of workforce planning is about identifying business goals, knowing what their current workforce looks like, forecasting their future workforce needs, developing a plan which includes strategies and actions to fill in the gaps, implementing, monitoring, and reviewing that plan. Fundamentally, like any plan, a workforce plan should be reviewed periodically to ensure ongoing relevance and alignment to current business objectives, with adjustments made in response to changing economic and labour market environments. Ideally, to maximise the benefits of workforce planning, it should be integrated into business planning. This will help ensure that businesses, regardless of size or life cycle, will have the right people at the right time and place, doing the right things to help them achieve their business goals. These goals can range from growing their business to simply wanting to achieve another successful year of operation. There will be many key aspects of the business planning process that may impact a workforce, both today and into the future, and this needs to be planned for. Along with a sound business plan, an effective workforce plan assists businesses to understand their workforce and be ready to respond to any changes in business environment. It's also important to remember that workforce planning is a dynamic process. Once again, it's a cycle that should occur regularly within the business, along with other planning activity, and something to revisit as key activities, changes and challenges occur. For example, a new contract or increasing production demands. When a business is clear about what they are aiming to achieve, then this is the time to consider how their current and future workforce can successfully make this happen. Workforce planning strategies and actions can be grouped into 4 key categories: developing your existing workforce skills and capabilities, attracting new employees to address skill gaps, retain valued employees, and manage the workforce through business change. Something that isn't about growth. Sometimes this is about contracting in size or managing people out in a planned and considered manner. The Workforce Planning Connect website provides all the tips and resources you need to get started with workforce planning. From the website, you can download the toolkit resources to guide you step by step through the workforce planning process. There are 3 documents. One is a guide. This covers the high-level process and is more a dip your toe in the water, a 101 that will help you understand the principles and processes of workforce planning. The second is a toolkit that provides more detailed information around each of the stages. And the third is a workbook. This is a really practical resource to build a workforce plan in full or to focus on key activities that support specific workforce needs. From the website, you can also access templates, worksheets, and guides that can be customized to your business. You can follow links to other practical resources, such as the Australian Bureau of Statistics data tools, recruitment tools, education and training support. On the screen, you'll see 2 additional avenues that we can connect you with that will further assist you to develop your workforce plan. The first is a QR code for the University of Sunshine Coast Workforce Planning course, which will take you to the registration page. If you're a business owner, manager, or you support small to medium enterprises looking to better prepare a workforce plan, the University of the Sunshine Coast is offering a free 7-week course that is based on Jobs Queensland's Workforce Planning Connect resources. The inaugural session is currently underway. However, you can still register for the sessions that will commence on the 23rd of June this year, and runs part-time with varying flexibility over the 7 weeks, either in person or online. There's no limit to the number of participants that can join this program, and there are more programs scheduled if these dates don't suit. The second is a QR code for the Business Queensland webpage that details the new industry workforce advisors for the department that have recently commenced. The industry workforce advisors, and I appreciate that there are some on the webinar here today, can help you plan for your workforce, find solutions to employment challenges, connect you with programs, incentives, and funding opportunities. They also use Jobs Queensland's Workforce Planning Connect resources and can assist you step by step through the process if you need that extra support. Industry workforce advisors cover most industries and travel across the state, as well as being able to meet you virtually. I encourage you strongly and sincerely to reach out to them if you think that you or you know other businesses that might benefit from that support. Workforce Planning Connect has been developed to provide a range of free practical tools designed to grow the workforce planning capability of businesses across Queensland. Jobs Queensland has recently refreshed and updated the workforce planning toolkit and guide for Queensland's small to medium enterprises in collaboration with the Business Chamber of Queensland. All of the resources are available free on our website. And the QR code at the bottom right of the corner will direct you there should you want to access. The Business Chamber of Queensland's membership has also participated in refining and curating the tools and resources that are offered by Jobs Queensland. And their feedback has helped significantly in shaping the offering that's available today. Some of the other partners that Jobs Queensland has engaged with include the Queensland Farmers Federation, as well as the Community Services Industry Alliance, where we've worked closely with those industry partners to provide industry-specific workforce planning resources. Now, while these industry-specific resources are available, it's important to remember that workforce planning is a process, and you do not need to necessarily have industry-specific resources to learn the process or to start your workforce planning journey. The tools being covered here today should still meet your needs. On the website, there are other useful links to support you during your workforce planning journey as well. These include business and data insights, attraction, recruitment and retention, education and training, employment pathways, as well as business support services. For example, the Business and Data Insights provides useful links to Jobs Queensland's anticipating future skills projections, projections on job openings over a 5-year planning period, in which you can do a deeper dive and evaluation and understand industry demand for occupations, for industry, and for levels of education at quite a granular level, as well as labour and economic snapshots and many, many other resources. The Business Queensland website is another, and I would encourage you to take the time having a look through. It has many useful tools and insights to plan your future workforce, as well as a wealth of other information that would help small to medium enterprises to successfully run their business. We've also loaded our Workforce Planning Connect suite and various resources on the website as a one-stop shop. You can scan the QR code to be taken directly. I did previously mention the Anticipating Future Skills of Jobs Queensland, which really is another great resource for you to consider looking at. This resource provides employment projections for regions, industries and occupations. And unlike many other employment projections, Jobs Queensland series provides detailed data for industries and occupations at both a state and regional level. The data is available free on the Jobs Queensland website and can assist businesses with anticipating growth for a particular region, industry or occupation. Knowing what is happening in your region, your industry or your occupation is great for small businesses because they have an idea of what's going on and what's anticipated to increase or decline. For example, where occupation demand is growing, this can lead to competition for a skilled workforce. And when you know this, your business, through workforce planning, can put in place actions to address your skills needs beforehand, rather than rely on advertising and trying to recruit later, only to find that it's a particularly difficult task in the labour market that is present. Jobs Queensland updates the data annually, and we just finished our testing and validation cycle with industry. So the data on the website will be updated again in July. So please jump back later in the year to find those updates and see how things have changed. Well, thank you. And that comes to the conclusion of the presentation from me, but I would be very, very keen to see whether I can engage with some questions and answers. So, Kathy, I see that you've asked a question here around industry workforce advisors to help sole traders. Absolutely, they will make themselves available for you, whether they have the ability to assist you directly or whether they can pass on or guide you in the right direction. They'll absolutely be available to help you. Some of their tasks include simply navigating systems, processes, and supports for the small business community in Queensland. The industry workforce advisors, although relatively new, I think we're coming up to 5 months, 6 months from their start, have been really well received by small businesses in particular, particularly around their ability to have an understanding of what's going on more broadly in their industry and connecting in with regional champions and regional leaders to be able to provide a bit of advice around the context in which small to medium enterprises are working and can, as I mentioned before, really navigate some of the systems, processes, government supports for small to medium enterprises as well.
Also funding
Anybody else like to ask any questions? In the session that we held on Tuesday, there was a question that was asked around why we think it's the case that small to medium enterprises don't undertake workforce planning activity. Essentially, as I mentioned before, time poor working in the business rather than on the business is appreciated. In our various consultations in partnership with the Business Chamber of Queensland, it was also the fact that small to medium enterprises struggled with identifying necessarily the benefits, particularly if they hadn't done workforce planning before. It was juxtaposed to the idea of everybody generally appreciating a business plan is essential, but not necessarily understanding or identifying the benefits or the risk mitigations around having a workforce plan attached. However, conversely, we had really strong feedback from small to medium enterprises in particular, that once they had undertaken a workforce plan, they were almost immediately able to see the benefits, even if it was simply about management and executive having a broader understanding of their existing skills, which opened up their opportunities to appreciate potentially immediate shifts that they could undertake in their business. We know that the labour market is particularly difficult and tight at the moment, and potentially doing what's been successful in the past around recruitment, retention, and skills development within an organisation may not be suffice. We hear regularly from small and in particular micro businesses that the critical nature of their 1, 2, 3 or few employees means that they don't necessarily have the time to dedicate to upskilling, yet going through the process of workforce planning has meant that they have been able to identify the potential benefits without that investment upfront, and has been a significant of significant assistance to them in understanding the potential upside to undertaking, whether that be investment in existing workforce, upskilling themselves, particularly in the case of micro businesses or sole traders, as well as potentially taking on new staff. Amy, you are wondering whether a sole trader can be involved in providing paid apprentice or trainee with support from the government. Look, it's not a simple answer to be able to answer that question. It really does depend on a variety of variables, things ranging from supervision, the type of occupation that will be undertaken as a contract of training and apprenticeship. That said, though, you can absolutely be in contact with the apprenticeship hotline that's available through the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training website that will be able to walk you through those requirements and those options that are available. What I can say around the apprenticeship and traineeship system in Queensland is that there is a very keen eye being applied by both public policy leadership as well as the government's leadership, and a very engaged Minister Farmer in this space, which is looking to ensure that the systems, the funding, the policy parameters for apprentices and trainees are maximising the uptake as well as maximising the completion, but in particular looking at how the government can support those employers, no matter their size, to take on an apprentice or trainee for the first time. Opportunity for anybody else? Well, given that, I'd like to say a very big thank you for your time today. I'd also encourage you to remain connected with Jobs Queensland. This Workforce Planning Connect tools and resources and the workforce planning side of the much broader skills environment is just one element of what Jobs Queensland does. I mentioned to you some pretty in-depth research and predictions around employment growth, industry demand, but there's also a considerable amount of research that's been contextualised for Queensland, in particular for small to medium enterprises. There are a series of reports on the Jobs Queensland website that may be of interest to you. However, you can stay up to date with Jobs Queensland either through subscribing to our e-news. That's once every 2 months you'd receive an email with short highlights on updated research, reports, insights, potentially grant funding that's available for small to medium enterprises, all within the broader skills ecosystem. You can follow us on LinkedIn and also find Jobs Queensland on Twitter. Specifically on Workforce Planning Connect, you can contact the Workforce Planning and Development team at Jobs Queensland on the contact that's listed. And finally, from me, a sincere thank you for your time today. Today was about Jobs Queensland supporting the government's Small Business Month, and I acknowledge the considerable amount of work that's gone into, I think, over 140 various activities across the month of May. And we encourage you, although we're close to the end of it, there are still more activities and events that can be found through the government's website and the Department of Employment, Small Business and Training Small Business Month. There's also the Small Business Commissioner who will provide information on the events that remain for the month of May and Small Business Month. Finally, I would encourage you, if you did have any additional questions, concepts to explore, or are looking to navigate particular issues and are not sure where to start, by all means, I encourage you, and with a sincere a sincere offer for you to reach out to Jobs Queensland, and would encourage you to visit the website should you wish to explore research, insights, reports and recommendations to government on all things skills and workforce planning. With that, I am going to bid you farewell. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe afternoon, and I look forward to potentially engaging with you into the future. Thank you.